Sumo Fighter, Tōkaidō Basho, or just Sumo Fighter as it's known in the United States. It's a 1991 original Game Boy action platformer developed by Kid and published by IMAX.
Games are hard, they're hardcore games. 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 Yeah, they're so hard, they're hardcore games. Yeah, they're so hard.
So hey everybody, welcome back to Hard for Games. I am your host Tony, and today we're taking a look at an earlier preview version of Sumo Fighter. Thank you very much to myretropop.com for lending us this cartridge. We really appreciate it. A little bit more on what myretropop.com is at the end of the video, but for now, let's dive into this. So I've seen a handful of these development / preview Game Boy cartridges before, and generally they kind of lean a little bit more towards the latter. So for example, if you remember, we did a Seiken Densetsu or a Final Fantasy Adventure episode where we covered a preview cartridge of it, and it was just a preview cartridge. It was just sort of a final build of the game, nothing particularly special on the innards and the code itself. But this is a little bit different. It has the same graphics as the final build of the game, but the options are different, there's some glitches, there's some strange things in this particular build. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the cartridge, the physical cartridge itself, the gameplay and the features, and then lastly take a quick peek into the code via a hex editor, just to showcase one of the main differences. So as you can tell, the cart here is a bit bulkier, thanks to the big old EEPROM sticking out. Now, many of you in the past have corrected me and said, no, it's EPROM. So then I started saying EPROM, and then a bunch of you started correcting me and saying, no, it's EEPROM. So no matter what I do, I'm just gonna get corrected. So I've kind of reached this sort of zen state in my Hard for Games career where I don't care. Doesn't matter. EPROM doesn't really roll off the tongue, so I'm calling it an EEPROM for the rest of the episode, and you're just gonna have to suck it. On the back here, you can see that it just utilizes a regular old Phillips head style screw. That gives us nice, easy access to the back here. If you've ever taken a look at the back of a regular Game Boy or Game Boy Color cartridge, you know a Phillips head is not going to cut it. And I learned that the hard way when I try to verify the authenticity of my Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen Game Boy Color collection. And of course here you can see that there's these little holes on the side which don't exist on a normal Game Boy cartridge. And of course we have the label here and the sticker over the EEPROM with some notes, which I don't know what it says. And a quick note here, if you expose an EEPROM to UV, it erases it. This is actually how you would erase data and rewrite, is you'd flash it with UV. So, if you ever see a sticker coming off an EEPROM, put it back down, put a new sticker on it, because the data, it becomes at risk. I don't know how much UV light would have to hit it for it to become erased, but I can't imagine constant continued exposure from a window would be great for it. So I don't know, maybe look it up, but regardless, just be careful if you see that, especially if you're buying one. You want to make sure that all of those are covered nicely. So let's go ahead and boot the game up. Now here is the menu screen. This contains a very awkward level select. You can see there's a number kind of on the side here. Pressing up changes the level, and if you press right, it'll change the stage, and there are 3 stages per level. Pressing down does nothing. So once you sort of select between pressing up and right which stage and level you want to go to, then you start the game. But let's say you're on password instead of start, well, you have to press down, which will cycle back up to start, so you can press start so you can start the game. It's weird because the level select is integrated into the main menu instead of being its own separate feature. It seems haphazard and just odd. Now before we get into the gameplay itself, let's continue to talk about the main menu here, because in the retail version of the game, there are 5 levels. There's level 5, 1, 2, and 3. But here we can go up to level 8, which was kind of confusing. So let's go ahead and see what happens when we select a level above what the retail game had. it brings us to this weird stage, and this is actually a bonus game, or at least the layout of a bonus game. But it's weird because you're not playing the bonus game, you're just moving around, hopping about. Let's choose another one. Same thing. Let's choose another one. And same thing again, you're just jumping around. Now, on some of these special stages past level 5, it just glitches before you can even get to it. Now, I don't know why this was implemented. I don't know if it was an accident or if it was intentional, because per each stage, per each level, you get an opportunity to enter a bonus stage. And it's not really difficult to do so, so I'm not quite sure why anyone previewing or testing the game would need to take a look at it in a way that disallowed you to actually play the bonus game. So I don't know. I don't know why this is here. It seems very mistake-ish, but I can't really tell. So here is the game itself. Again, action platformer, but you're playing as a sumo. It also has some nice features where you can kind of level up your character a little bit and give him different attributes. But once you become pretty powerful, it gets a lot more fun, and although it remains challenging, especially since you can choose different levels of difficulty, it becomes easier once you level up your character properly. So in the retail game, you can press start to bring up your menu, which showcases your level. Pressing select does nothing. In the preview version of the game, pressing select pauses the game. And you can tell it's pausing the game because obviously it pauses, but there's also a little bit of a jingle. What's weird is if you press select again, it doesn't unpause the game. You have to press start to unpause the game, which is the menu button, but in this case it takes you out of the unpause. So in the retail, select does nothing. In this preview version, it pauses the game. I guess they probably got rid of it because pulling up the menu essentially pauses the game anyways, so it was sort of a redundant feature, but it wasn't necessarily bothering anything, so I'm not quite sure why they got rid of it. I don't know. So here's another thing. In the preview version of the game, if you go into the menu and then press left, you leave the menu, but then die. Yep, that's right. If you press left while you're in the menu, you leave it and then die. Now this sort of became convenient if I didn't want to restart to go back to the main menu to select another level, but depending on how many lives you have left, like if you have a bunch of lives left, you don't want to just keep killing yourself. It's actually quicker to restart the game. It's not quicker if you can just kill yourself once and then restart the game. So I'm not sure if this is a glitch or a feature. I'm leaning more towards glitch. Now lastly, I want to go ahead and take a look at the code in a hex editor. It's very different, but really I just want to showcase one thing. How it refers to itself internally, in terms of the name of the game. So, in the retail version of the game, it refers to itself as Sumo Fighter. But in this version, it just calls itself Kid Project Number 2. It's a placeholder name. Keep in mind that Kid is the developer of this game. So that's pretty much it, at least in terms of the differences that I've been able to find. So wanted to thank you all for watching, thank our subscribers, our Patreon supporters that make this show possible, and of course all of you for ringing that bell so you get notified when our videos come out. But big thank you as well to myretropop.com that lent us this cartridge. A little bit about myretropop.com. It is an eBay store. The gentleman that runs it sells retro games, including development and preview stuff like this. Not all of it is that, but there is definitely some of that type of content on there. So if you're interested in the type of content we do, check out the store. I'm going to put a link in the description below, and I'm sure you'll find something that tickles your fancy. Aside from that, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.